Once upon a time, in a land far away, there lived a family of 7 ducks. Their names were Honey, Daffodil, Butter, Bumblebee, Canary, Lemon, and Phil. They lived in a house near a beautiful pond where they swam every day. On their way back to their home one evening, they found a basket at the base of a tree. In the basket was a baby. How extraordinary! The ducks talked about what they should do.
We should take him home.
We're ducks. We don't know how to take care of a baby.
Well, we can try.
Soon, the talking became too much for Phil. He was the oldest of the ducks, and what he said went.
All right, everybody, calm down. We'll take the basket home.
And so it was decided. They took the basket home, and the baby, of course. They named the baby Reginald after their father's second cousin and took great care of him. As Reginald grew, he learned how to swim and how to tell jokes. You may not know this, but ducks have a great sense of humor and even better laughs.
What kind of coat is always wet when you put it on? I don't know. What kind? A coat of paint.
Reginald soon had the best jokes.
Why do fish live in salt water?
I don't know. Why?
Because Peppa makes them sneeze.
Now there was at that time in the land a king who was very mean. He wanted to be the funniest in the land, but he wasn't. He had the worst jokes in all of the land.
What do you call a snail with no shell? It's dead.
You see what I mean? Horrible. And yet every day, he would walk up to his enchanted microphone and say,
Microphone, microphone on the stage. Who is the funniest in all the land?
Not you, you.
Fine. Disrespect.
Well, as you can imagine, the people in the land grew weary of such a mean, unfunny king. So they decided to have a contest to see who was the funniest in all the land. They kept the real reason a secret, however. The land was cursed to have such an awful, unfunny king, and they knew the only way to break the curse was for someone funny to get the best of him by making him laugh.
Finally, a contest to prove I am much funnier than anyone else in the kingdom. I love proving that microphone wrong.
And so, the kingdom was abuzz with the news of the contest. Many practiced their jokes with friends and family. Some were funny, some were silly, and some were downright awful. None in the kingdom were more excited than the duck family.
Reginald, you should enter the competition. Your jokes are funnier than anyone else. You could break the curse and then you could become king and we could come live with you in the castle.
That would be the biggest joke of all. Me becoming king? That is almost as funny as having whole rooms dedicated to my favorite foods. Funny. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind living in a castle that has a s'mores room. If you became king, I bet you could have one.
Do you really think so? I tell? The one about the jelly beans? Or the one about the molehill? The one about the tree house. Yes.
What about a classic joke? Like the one about the chicken who crossed the road. Those are always funny.
I think I need a very special joke to break the curse. Perhaps I should go to the library to look for one.
What a great idea! They have lots of great books at the library.
There you go. See you later.
So Reginald went to the library. He asked the librarian where the joke books were and spent hours looking through the books. He laughed at some, frowned at others, until at last he found the perfect joke.
That is it. That is the one that could break the curse. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next morning, the whole kingdom gathered at the gates of the palace for the competition. The stage and the rules were set. The official rules said that the winner was to be judged by how loud and how long the crowd laughed. One by one, the contestants told their jokes.
If a seagull flies over the sea, what flies over the bed?
Oh my.
Why are elephants so wrinkly? Because you can't iron them.
Hail, King Tail, it's a dogwood tree. My bark. Get it? Bark, 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 bark.
Everyone's jokes had been funny so far, but none had been funny enough to make the king laugh and break the curse. At last, the king got up to tell his joke. The ducks were standing at the back of the crowd. Reginald had not been on stage yet. They wondered where he was. He had to tell his joke before the competition was over.
Did you hear the one about the orange? Me neither. Me neither. Me neither. Why isn't anyone laughing?
As mean as the king was, and as afraid as the crowd was, they could not laugh. As the king stood looking furiously at the crowd, Reginald walked onto the stage.
I believe it is my turn, Your Majesty. Fine. Your Majesty. Yes. Could you help me with my joke? I need a second person to be able to tell it well.
The crowd looked at Reginald in shock. Why did he ask the king for help? The king looked at Reginald for a long time.
All right. What is your joke? Knock, knock. Who's there? Cows go. Cows go who? No, silly. Cows go moo.
The crowd laughed and laughed, while the king barely cracked a smile. Reginald had to keep going. He needed to make the king laugh to break the spell.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Owls go. Owls go who? That's right, good job.
The crowd was rolling now. They could not contain their laughter, and the king could not control his smile. Though he tried, Reginald tried again.
Knock, knock. Who's there? A little old lady. A little old lady who? Oh, I didn't know you could yodel.
The crowd was laughing so hard now, it was hard to breathe. A huge grin spread across the king's face, and Reginald realized this was his last chance.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Spell. Spell who? All right. W-H-O.
down and started laughing. He laughed so hard and so long and rolled so much from the laughter that he rolled down the street, up the hill, across the pasture, and out of the kingdom, never to be seen again. Reginald was made king on the spot and is still king to this very day.
And all because of a knock-knock joke. Knock-knock.
The end.